Greetings, YouTube, and welcome to episode 29 of the Encyclopedia Magica, Volume 1. A bit of a caveat for this. I actually filmed this already, the section I'm about to cover again, which kind of goes against the vibe I've been trying to do with these, which is a reaction video of me to these older magic items that were, collected over a couple of decades. I got some information in the thing wrong, so I filmed a small section in the front, stitched those two pieces of video together, but I didn't preserve the two sections. I just had the combined video replace the video I had done, and in the process, it erased the footage. So all I had of the video was this little 20-second blur with me saying, hey, I screwed up. This episode 29, not 28. So I have to redo it. So I want to do that just to keep the continuity consistent, maintain continuity. But what I'm about to cover is something I've already looked at, so I'm a little on the annoyed side. But it is what it is, and I'm going to have to cover it if I again would like to have some continuity. So we're going to start. We're still in the axes, and I'm going to be starting with Thor's Kiss, which is value 800, GP 5000, actually XP 800, GP 5000, The Adventures in Blackmoor. Thorson One Thumb, which is the guy that owns this, he's a Jarl, and it is a heavy double-bladed battle axe +1 that he calls Thor's Kiss. That's it. It's just a thing he owns. I don't know why you would really consider that worthy of a blurb, but it's worthy of a blurb apparently. We have a section on throwing axes, pretty standard, +1s through +5, and they go from 600 to 3000 XP and from 3500 GP to 12,000, and it's just your standard throwing axe. I'm assuming these things have returning feature. You can throw them within 180 feet with the same attack and damage bonuses as if swung by a character. That's a very strange wording, and I commented about that the first time. I don't know what they quite mean by that. Then we have Thumb Heights Mans. I don't know why that is a name, but it is. It is no value and no worth from gods and demigods and heroes. It seems this axe seems to have be the only magic item of this person. It is a flaming +3 flaming axe. When it hits anything, it causes 20 d4 points of regular damage. If the target does not make a saving throw, the person's spell, he or she is burned to a cinder. How many of you have 20 d4 sitting around at the table? I mean, like in front of you. If you're a GM, you're not going to have that many. You never roll 20 d4. And if you're a player, you're not going to have that many. And even though you could convert them, you could combine your piles to roll if you really wanted to maintain the whole thing of rolling dice. Would you do that? Would you combine your dice with your friend's dice and don't know if you'll ever be able to separate them again? No, they're your dice. You don't want to mix them with someone else's dice now, do you? Yeah, it's too many d4s. We have Tor Shorak, which is a goblin word meaning elf cleaver. Now, they describe this as a great axe. Now, it makes me wonder, is it a great axe for a goblin, or is it a great axe for a human? Because if it's a great axe for a goblin, then it's a battle axe for a human. But if it's a great axe for a human, that means it allows a goblin to use a weapon designed for someone of one size category larger, kind of like the powerful build species feat that you can find in Pathfinder First Edition. I don't know if that's been, I think it's been continued in Pathfinder Second Edition, but it doesn't have the same benefits. It's about, I think it helps you carry more weight or something, which I thought was a waste of a species feature. But yeah, it's a magic axe that has to be wielded by someone who is of lawful evil environment. It has +2 weapon, it's +3 against elves. And if you're fighting an elf, you have to make a saving throw at -5. Otherwise, you go into a berserk rage. And this was back before I think we had rules for proper berserk rages. So they just said you get some extra damage and your attack, but you are out of control, that kind of thing. Then we have the Tunnel Runner's Axe. Now this is a really long passage, very long passage. But the gist of it is that this is a dwarven weapon plus 3 battle axe. And once each day, the wielder can ask the axe to bestow a tunnel running ability, which is spider climb that you don't need to use your hands for. So you just can run up walls and ceilings and stand still and fight from very strange and odd angles, which is a very cool ability. And it grants you this ability for 3 turns. And back in the old days, a turn was 10 minutes. So that's 30 minutes. That's a battle and a half right there. So pretty much you turn that on for a big battle, and if you're in an environment where it's got close contact with surfaces, you could really turn the tide when it comes to mobility and coming at an enemy from angles they are literally not prepared for, which I think is pretty darn cool. And it also allows you to a withering. I think it's got a withering ability against it. So, no, that's the next one. Sorry, my apologies. That's the next one, is the withering pickaxe. This is why I want to do these things fresh. I got them confused in my head. 2 different passages. The next is a withering pickaxe, 8,000 XP, 35,000 GP from the Nightstorm supplement, and this is concerns a member of a group called Kurtanta, which apparently is part of the Mistra setting. I've read Mistra, but it's been many years. That apparently they're an organization of assassins. It's not a big deal. Lots of settings have assassin organizations. Sometimes they even have competing assassin organizations, so you can have assassin on assassin action. That's been a big theme in bad martial art movies for 50 years. But their weapon of choice is a pickaxe. I don't know if you've ever used a pickaxe or ever seen a pickaxe, but even a small handheld one for like doing like panning for gold, or even doing some slightly aggressive gardening, they're not concealable weapons. And a two-handed pickaxe is definitely not a concealable weapon. Even if it only has one pick, lots of pickaxes have are double-headed. Even if it only has a single head, it is still not a concealable weapon. I did a deconstructed pickaxe of my own design last year, and it came out pretty interesting. Looks very strange, but it does exactly what I wanted it to do, which is preserve the essence of what a pickaxe is through the lens of post-apocalyptic aesthetic. Yes, it's kind of a postmodern pickaxe, but it's a pickaxe. It's not concealable, not even a little bit. So having a pickaxe, even if it's got a withering feature built into it, as your assassin weapon is weird. Then we have the Axe of the Woodsman, which is designed to be used to cut wood, but can be used in a pinch. But since it's not properly designed for that, it has its own special weapon stats, which is kind of weird. But you could just call it an improvised weapon in my book. But okay, so the stats are speed factor 6, which means it's not a particularly fast weapon. Weight of 10 pounds, which is absurd. That's how much a heavy sledgehammer weighs, 10 pounds. I don't know if you've ever wielded a sledgehammer. They're not fun. Axes are much lighter than that, particularly if they are felling axes. Felling axes are fairly slim in profile. You're expected to wield them a lot. You don't want a heavy felling axe. 10 pounds is dumb. Size medium, damage 1d4 plus 1 / 1d plus 4 plus 1. So I guess, I don't know if they're talking 2 attacks or discussing the different weapon damages for a small, medium, because the weapons in the old versions of D&D actually had different damage amounts depending if you were attacking a small or a medium character. Or not saying no, a medium and a large character, my mistake. But yeah, so it's a weird weapon. You could make it interesting and have it only affect wood. That'd be kind of cool. Then we have Zebulon's Axe of Leaving. And anybody remember Zebulon's guide, which was for the Star Frontier game. It's a great word. I was Evelyn. I have no idea if that was created by the same person or it's just a confluence of two people naming the same something, two different things, the same name. And this says new item, so maybe an item written specifically for this passage, for this book, which I don't know if I've seen any of those like that before, but you know, okay. XP 250, GP 1500, and this is a +1 axe at 3 times. If you spin it 3 times, he can teleport to a single destination of his choice and is protected from all magical attacks for 1d4 rounds. He can even transfer himself to another plane, but only to or from the prime material plane. Planar creatures may not use this weapon. So extraplanar creatures cannot wield this, but it allows you to go from one prime plane to another prime plane, which is really, really powerful. And for only a 1,500 gold piece value, even if it's a solo trip, that's a plane shift right there. That's super valuable. And then last we have, which made me chuckle the first time I read it because I read it cold, but it's called the Zzz Axe of Sleeping or Snoring. It has 6 Z's, 250 XP, 1,500 GP, and if you're a dwarf and you hit other dwarves, it makes them fall asleep. And if you're not a dwarf and you try to use it, you fall asleep. So it's a means of subduing dwarves without having to kill them. I don't know why you wouldn't just use like a truncheon of sleeping or, you know, a touch attack wand or something. But yeah, apparently somebody felt the need to go out and build a non-violent axe that has the mercy characteristic for the purposes of smacking dwarves around so you can render them unconscious and I assume arrest them? I don't know. But we're going to call it quits there. That is the end of the A's, and then we get into the B's. Yay, B's! So episode 30 will be the B's, and hopefully I will not screw my footage up next time. I don't know what happened. I stitch video sections together all the time, but I've never had the rendered video replace an existing video. So I think that may be where it's screwed up. I'm not positive. I just won't do that again. We'll make sure not to do that again. Yeah. So thanks for being here for episode 29 of the Encyclopedia Magica Volume 1. And again, we're up to the B's now and 29 episodes. We have a really long way to go. I'll be doing these videos for years to come.